What's up, Dog Nation and college football fans? Merry Christmas to everybody. Hope everybody's having a great day, and I wish, all the college football fans out there, a great new year and a great 2025. I hope y'all get a lot of peace and blessings and good things happening for y'all this coming up here in 2025. We're here today to talk about the UGA Notre Dame game in the Sugar Bowl, a classic game, a classic matchup. And I'm just beyond excited to watch this game. It seems like we've had way too long of a wait to see Georgia play again. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy how quickly this season went by. Like, these college football seasons, it seems like we wait so long for them to finally come around in the fall, late summer, early fall. And then the season happens, and before you know it, you're playing the SEC championship game. And then if you're fortunate enough, like Georgia has been under Kirby Smart for the most part, to be in the postseason, late in the postseason in these playoff games, man, it goes by way too fast, man. And I tell all the Georgia fans this, man, when I see them in person, when I see them out and about, when I see them in Athens, when I saw them in Tuscaloosa, like, guys, we have got to enjoy the time that we have with Kirby Smart. It's already been, 8-9 years? I mean, you think about it, that went by extremely quick to me, man. 2016 was yesterday to me. That 2016 team, I can remember specific games like it was yesterday. That went by way too quick. So you got to think, if Kirby Smart coaches another 8-9 years, that'll be 16 to 18 years. That's a long time, man. Coach Richt was here, 13 years? And that it seemed like a while, man, but it goes by really fast, y'all. So enjoy these times while Kirby Smart is here. Getting into this game, there's so much that I want to talk about with this game. There's so many different directions that I could take this video. I said in my previous video that I do got Georgia winning this game, but let's be clear. I really respect Notre Dame as a program and as a team this year. I do think Notre Dame has a really good team. I do think Notre Dame is capable of beating Georgia. If Georgia doesn't come out there and play their best, Notre Dame can and will beat them. As far as the rest of the bracket goes, the teams that I think could give Georgia a hard time, I do think Notre Dame has the athletes. So we got Notre Dame, Texas, Oregon, and Ohio State are the teams that I think that could beat Georgia. But, the other half of these teams, the majority of these teams outside of Notre Dame, we wouldn't see until the national championship game. So Notre Dame's up next, first and foremost. And I think it's going to be a good game. I do think it's going to be a close game. I don't think that Georgia is going to coach this game in a way that is meant to blow out Notre Dame or put up points. And I've been thinking about that for 2 or 3 weeks now, leading up to this score prediction video. I just don't think Georgia is going to coach to run up the score and try and blow them out. I just don't think that's the way this game is going to go. Before we get too much into the game, though, I do want to give some insight to the Georgia fans on Notre Dame as a program. For anybody that watches any of my videos, you know that the majority of my family is Notre Dame or Ohio State fans. My dad is a humongous Notre Dame fan. My mother's a Notre Dame fan. So I've got to pay attention to this program year-round, year after year, nonstop. And so I feel like I do have a little bit of insight into the history of Notre Dame. And I just wanted to clear up a couple of things for the Georgia fans that might not know, because I think it's important, when you love college football as much as the majority of Georgia fans do, you kind of want to somewhat understand the other side of the team that you're facing and why they think the way that they think, why they do the things that they do. Why is Notre Dame so relevant when they haven't won anything since the 90s? So I just wanted to talk about a little bit of that before I got into this specific game. So Notre Dame is one of the most winningest programs in college football, for number one. Notre Dame does have 11 national championships, for number two. Notre Dame's fan base is so big. Let me start with this. Notre Dame's fan base is as big as it is and has the following that it does because back in the day, 90s and back, Notre Dame had a TV contract to have all of their home games on NBC every single week, no matter what. And Notre Dame was typically, for the most part, every single Notre Dame game was going to be televised on Saturdays during college football season. That was not the case for all of the other teams. Notre Dame had exclusive contract rights with NBC that at 3:30 every Saturday they were going to be on TV. And back in the day, we didn't have unlimited channels to be able to see every game. It just didn't work that way back then. So Notre Dame has a big following and a big brand, number one, because they were the most visual, they were the most seen brand at one point in time. And also during this period of time, Notre Dame was a winning program. Notre Dame was winning national championships. They were playing in big games. They were in the thick of things all the time, nonstop. Notre Dame was bringing in top recruiting classes left and right. Back in the 70s and in the 80s under Lou Holtz, and even for periods of the 90s. So Notre Dame does have a big, huge following. Number two, Notre Dame is a Catholic school, so a lot of people who are Catholic will gravitate towards a winning program that shares their beliefs. So anybody that's Catholic that loves college football, the most winning Catholic college football program would be Notre Dame. And another thing I just want to touch on real quick as far as why is Notre Dame not in a conference? I see online on Facebook, all over the place, all the time that Notre Dame is scared to join a conference. I just want to clear that up. Notre Dame is not scared to join a conference. Notre Dame refuses to join a conference. They considered joining the Big Ten at one point in time, and they've considered joining the ACC at one point in time. They actually did become part of the ACC during the 2020 COVID year. They were forced to be part of the ACC so they could be in the ACC championship and have a chance at the college football playoff. But Notre Dame is not in a conference because, like we just talked about, Notre Dame is a national brand, number one, and Notre Dame has big-time rivalries spread out all over the country. And I'm just going to name off a couple of their rivalries. So Michigan is a humongous rival for Notre Dame. Southern Cal, who is another humongous rival for Notre Dame. Michigan State, for a long time, was a big rival of Notre Dame. They played every year for a long time. And then Notre Dame has, Stanford, you got to throw Stanford in there too. Notre Dame, Stanford played a lot. Navy, Notre Dame has a commitment to play Navy because of something that happened during World War II. The two schools, Notre Dame and Navy, had a partnership where they helped each other out. So Notre Dame, out of loyalty to whatever was done at that period of time, agreed to play Navy every single season forever. They've kept their word to that. And then some other teams that Notre Dame has played and scheduled throughout the years are two Florida schools and Florida State. When Florida State was really good in the 90s, Notre Dame scheduled them all the time. And Miami. Anytime Miami's been good, Notre Dame has tried to play them. And if Notre Dame was to join a conference, it would eliminate their freedom to schedule their big-time rivalries. They do not want to give up the Southern Cal game. That Southern Cal game gives them exposure in Los Angeles where they get a lot of their recruits. They like to recruit that part of California. If they were to join the Big Ten or the ACC, it's not a lock that they would be able to play Southern Cal every single year. Same with the Florida schools. They want to be able to play Florida State as often as possible to reach down into Florida and get players. They need those Florida players to be competitive because Indiana doesn't have the caliber of athlete that Notre Dame needs to recruit and play for a national championship. And I'm telling you all that is what it is. Notre Dame is not scared to play anybody anywhere. That's kind of something that gets, like, they kind of get bullied online a little bit. Everyone says that they're scared to join a conference. No, they're not going to join a conference because they don't want to be constricted to the Big Ten recruiting areas. They want to be a nationwide recruiting powerhouse. That's why they want to be able to reach all over the country and play these games without a conference telling them who and who they cannot schedule. They want to feel free to schedule who they want to schedule and when. And that's the reason Notre Dame will not join a conference. So it's not because they're scared or anything like that. I just wanted to clear that up. So that's why they won't join a conference. All right, getting into some other stuff. This Notre Dame program is starving for a national championship. All the Georgia fans, we remember what it felt like in 2020, leading from 1980 leading up to 2020, how it was just miserable and gut-wrenching. Like, we would have a good team and be, so close so many times and have so many talented players pass through the University of Georgia, and we just could not win a national championship. And it was maddening to be one of the most consistent programs over that long, long stretch of time, have so many good players come in and out. There's one of them, Todd Gurley, right there. That's the best player, I'm telling y'all, that ever came through UGA and laced him up for the red and black. I mean, you're going to say Herschel Walker and this and that, but you look at the guys that Gurley played and you look at the guys that Herschel Walker played, there's a big difference in competition. That is my favorite player to ever suit up for Georgia. But we remember that feeling of how bad it sucked to be starving for a championship. And our fan base would travel wherever it was we felt like we needed to go for a big game to try and push the Dogs over the edge and let them know that we were behind them because we were trying to get that national championship. A lot of pressure has been taken off Kirby Smart now that he's got 2 under his belt, looking for a 3rd this year. But I'm just telling y'all, these players, these coaches, this university, this fan base, they're in the same position that we once were, starving for a national championship. I've seen some places where Notre Dame is favored. I've seen some places where Georgia is favored. I can tell you now that I love it anytime that Georgia is the underdog. You know, if you think that if the national media or Vegas or the majority of people think that Georgia is going to lose this game to Notre Dame, that just works out in Georgia's favor. I love when Georgia's the underdog. So that's totally fine with me. I'm not going to say these teams are evenly matched because they're not. Georgia has recruited year in and year out at a higher level than Notre Dame, and that's just a fact. I mean, you can go to any one of the 3 major recruiting sites and look year after year after year. Georgia's going to have the more talented roster by far. You want to go into coaching. I've already talked about this in my last video. I would much rather be Kirby Smart be my head coach, making in-game decisions and getting the team prepared. I'd much rather have Kirby Smart as my coach than Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman is in year 3 or 4 now. And in those early years, he experienced a lot of the same stuff that Kirby Smart experienced, learning to be a head coach on the job at a big time program. Kirby Smart's in year 8 or 9? I've got to figure that out because I keep saying 8 or 9. I should know. 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is 9. It is 9. But so when Kirby first came to Georgia, man, we had some, let's be real, we had some clock management, game management issues with Kirby Smart. There are a lot of things that I could say. The jet sweep with Isaiah McKenzie on 4th and 2 when you got Nick Chubb and Sony Michel at home, homecoming Vanderbilt in the rain was bad. The fake punt with Justin Fields was bad. We had some clock management. There was some clock management stuff I can't really recall right off the top of my head, but it drove us crazy early on in Kirby Smart's time at Georgia. Marcus Freeman went through a lot of that as well, man. I've watched a lot of Notre Dame games. Marcus Freeman, when the pressure is on and the game is close, makes some horrific in-game clock management, game management decisions, when and when not to go for it, when to throw the ball, when to run the ball. And the one that sticks out the most to me, which I still cannot believe happened, when Ohio State traveled to Notre Dame in 22, Notre Dame played their last series with 10 guys on defense, and Ohio State scored and won the football game. That's just absolutely crazy to me. But Marcus Freeman, since the NIU game where they lost to NIU, has played and coached better, had his team playing better. He has been coaching better, making better choices. He's learning on the job, y'all. Just like Kirby Smart learned on the job and continued to improve as a coach, Marcus Freeman is doing the same thing. But, if you had to pick one, I'm taking Kirby Smart all day, and it's not even close. It's not even close. So coaches, better. Players, better. Injuries. Let's talk about the injuries a little bit. Notre Dame has got injuries all over the field. They've got a defensive tackle. I can't think of the dude's name right off the top of my head, but he got injured in the Indiana game, one of their best players. They got some corners that are out. They got some safeties that are out. So Notre Dame's got some injuries all over the field. Georgia, Carson Beck just goes down, and Gunner Stockton comes in and is able to do enough against Texas to get Georgia the win. Which I thought was a huge deal. The main thing with the Gunner Stockton thing, is the moment wasn't too big for Gunner Stockton. He was able to step in there, be calm and composed, lead Georgia right down the field, 10 plays, 75 yards to put Georgia ahead in that game, and was able to do just enough to help Georgia win that game in overtime. That's the main thing that makes me okay with Gunner Stockton, was the moment was not too big for him. I've got Texas is a better team than Notre Dame, okay? So when Gunner Stockton came into that SEC championship game, people have been saying all season long that Texas has the best defense in the country. Whether or not that's true, Texas is one of the top 3 for sure. I'm not going to I mean, there are a lot of good defenses out there. I think Texas is really good. They might be. There's a good chance that they might be the best defense in the country. So for Gunner Stockton to come in to that situation and go 10 plays, 75 yards, keep the Georgia offense on track, ahead of down and distance, and manage that right after not playing all season long is an impressive feat against the number one defense in the country. So if he can do that against Texas, I have confidence that he'll be able to move the ball and operate the offense, especially now that we've had all this time to prepare against Notre Dame's defense. Notre Dame has a really good defense. I'm not going to lie. Notre Dame has got some talent along the lines of scrimmage, at corner and at safety. They've had a bunch of pick sixes this season. Their secondary will pick the ball off, and they are capable of running it back. And their guys get out in front and block if they do intercept the ball. So we've got to be mindful of that. We cannot lose the turnover battle in this game. But I think that Georgia, back to the injuries thing, man, our offensive line has been riddled with injuries all season long. The SEC championship game is the healthiest that we've been at offensive line in quite some time. And that gives me confidence for this game as well. We're coming back to being healthy. The healthiest version of Georgia that we've seen since week one. Also, the Robinson running backs, Branson Robinson and Roderick Robinson. All right, Branson Robinson did not impress me at any point of the season that he played this year. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just telling you what I saw with my eyes. Broderick Robinson, number 0, I think he is a big, powerful back, and with him getting healthier, I think he is going to play more with Etienne and Frazier. Frazier's been better as of late. We've still got the ball security issues with the fumble down at the 3-yard line where Arian Smith bailed him out and saved his ass. Frazier's got to hold on to the ball, but a dynamic, explosive running back. We had Etienne dealing with the ribs. He played in the SEC championship, had both Georgia's touchdowns, so Georgia's health is coming together at the right time. I rewatched the Texas game last night as well. And I just got to say, one area that I was wrong. When I'm wrong, I will admit that I'm wrong. And I'm happy to admit when I'm wrong about Georgia football because it means something good is happening. But when this season started out, I thought our deficiencies were at D-line and wide receiver. Now, the wide receiver position at Georgia this season has been atrocious and god-awful. I cannot stand watching these passes hit our receivers in both hands game after game after game this season. The drops, leading the country in drops at Georgia is absolutely unacceptable. It pisses me off. Like that, when I'm watching a game and I see our guys dropping balls that hit them in both hands, my blood pressure just skyrockets through the roof. It's just crazy to me, man. There's no reason that we should lead the country in drops with as much talent as we have. And when Carson Beck's hitting you in both hands. So that's just wild to me, man. But we're getting healthy at the right time. I've already said that. But defensive line, that's what I want to talk about. D-line. Our defensive line has really been coming on as of late, man. Our defensive line has been playing better and better and better as the season wore on and got deeper and deeper into the season. We got some guys back. We got Brinson back, 97. Brinson's been playing better, y'all. I've got to say, when he was playing early in the season, I forget what happened to him. I think he did get injured. But when he came back, he was a little bit rusty, but he played really well in that Texas game. And a guy that I haven't seen too much this season, who also looked really good in the Texas game, number 94, Xavier McLeod, looked really good in the Texas game. Ingram Dawkins, 93, has been good. Michael Williams has been playing better as of late. He was on a milk carton, missing in action, again early in the season. Jalen Walker, of course, has been playing well. We got Damon Wilson, rushing off the edge or up the middle at times, another linebacker, but he lines up there on the defensive line as well at times. So our D-line has been looking a lot better. We've been, when we want to, we can get off after the quarterback and get his ass on the ground. And so from right there, I'm going to go ahead and go into why I feel really confident about Georgia right now. So everybody knows that if you watch a Kirby Smart team, Kirby Smart's first priority is always going to be, we are going to stop the run. We're going to hold you to 1 or 2 yards on early downs and get you into 3rd and long, and then we're going to come after you. That's been Kirby Smart's formula for success as long as he's been a coach. When I was watching the Notre Dame-Indiana game, I forget who was calling the game. It was McElroy. So McElroy was calling the game. And I was watching Notre Dame's offense. Notre Dame does not throw the ball deep. They just don't. They just don't. They just don't. Like when Riley Leonard throws the ball deep early in the season, he was getting picked off. So Notre Dame doesn't even try to take the top off of a defense. That is a really bad recipe for success against Kirby Smart. If Kirby Smart feels like you can't even threaten his defensive backs deep, and all he's got to do is stop the run and get you in 3rd and long, man, it's going to be a long day. I'm telling you. If Georgia's defense shows up ready to play, highly motivated like they did the 2 times against Texas, it's going to be a long day for Notre Dame's offense. I do think that we are going to be able to stop the run. Riley Leonard is a mobile quarterback, but let's just be real here. Man, this guy ain't nowhere near a Jalen Milroe or a Haynes King. Who else did we have to deal with? A Bryce Young? No, he's not even a Bryce Young, man. Jalen Hurts? No. Man, he is none of those guys. None of those guys. And I trust Georgia to be able to shut down that quarterback run against Riley Leonard. I think Riley Leonard is okay, but let's be honest, man, he's not lighting the world on fire. I mean, he was at Duke for 3 years, and then now he's at Notre Dame. If you can get that guy into 3rd and long and make him throw, man, it's I've watched it this season. The guy will throw it up in the air and let you pick it off. So that I'm confident in Georgia's defense. Like I'm really confident in Georgia's defense. Now, Notre Dame's running back, Jeremiah Love, is a very talented, very good player. He's not to be slept on. We just got to stop the run. That's it. If we can stop the run, Georgia's going to win this game. That's what the whole game boils down to right there. Kirby Smart knows that. Marcus Freeman knows that. So it's going to be a line of scrimmage game. And then when you flip it around, all right, we got Georgia's offense going against Notre Dame's defense. Notre Dame does have a good defense, but man, I'm not going to sit here and give them the credit that I would give a Texas. I think Texas has a better defense than Notre Dame. I just do. And another thing, man, I've just got to say, I don't feel like Notre Dame has been tested near as much as Georgia has this season. Like the amount of good teams and adversity and hostile environments that Georgia has faced this season, like this is the most mentally tough football team in the country. Kirby Smart said this is the most mentally tough football team that he's coached in his time at Georgia. And that just, man, it shows. It shows. These guys do not quit until the clock says 0-0-0. I don't feel like Notre Dame's seen a team like Georgia. I really don't. Georgia's seen 7 Notre Dames. So I feel good about that, man. But Georgia's offensive line getting back healthy is important. ETN getting back healthy is really important. Now, ETN's our best weapon on offense. That's another thing I was wrong about, man. ETN, when he's healthy, he's our best weapon on offense. But so Georgia, and I want to say this. I can tell you what's going to happen in this game because we've watched this game already. We've seen this game before. In the 2017 season when we opened up with Appalachian State and Jacob Eason went down and Jake Fromm came into the game and led Georgia to a win, Jake Fromm was making his first start on the road at Notre Dame the next week. All right, so we already know how Kirby Smart is going to coach this game with not a freshman quarterback, but a quarterback that's making his first start on a really big stage. Georgia's going to run the ball more in this game. And I think with their offensive line being healthy and Gunner Stockton being able to run as well, I'm thinking Georgia's going to run the ball more in this game than they have, the entire rest of the season. The moment's not going to be too big for Gunner Stockton. Gunner Stockton has been in this Georgia offense for 3 seasons now. He goes against our number 1 defense all the time. Georgia's got a really good defense and has had a really good defense for an extremely long period of time, and he's been going against them. So it's not going to be shocking to Gunner Stockton to see really good athletes lined up on the other side of the ball. Any kind of disguise, blitz scheme, anything like that, like there's nothing that you're going to throw at Gunner Stockton that Kirby Smart, Glenn Schumann, and Will Muschamp haven't already showed him in practice. Man, I don't think Georgia's going to coach this game to light up the scoreboard. I'm telling you now, Georgia's going to try and get an early lead. All right? If Georgia gets a 10, 14, 17-point lead, Kirby Smart's going to start running the ball and choke this game out and just suffocate the life out of this game and bleed the clock down to nothing. And we're going to throw it just enough to keep the defense honest, Hopefully our wide receivers are in the mood to catch the ball down in New Orleans this time, and we can stay on schedule on offense. But Georgia's going to do everything they can to get a lead. Once they get a lead, they're going to slow the game down, and they're just going to try and get out of here with a win. And that's all we need to do. We don't need to light the world on fire and show everything in this game. Now, if it takes everything, throw everything at them. But I'm telling you, the preferred method is Kirby Smart's going to try and get a lead. He's going to try and bleed this game out and just suffocate Notre Dame running the ball and make Riley Leonard play from behind. Now, the worst case scenario would be if Georgia was to get behind 14 points. Is Gunner Stockton going to be able to use his arm with our wide receivers that refuse to catch the ball? Is he going to be able to lead us back? That's worst case scenario for Georgia. But, man, I feel like I've really broken it down as many ways as I could. Brett Thorson being out, I think that's a big deal because we haven't seen the other punter. We did a fake punt when Charlie Ham went back there. He didn't even touch the ball. It went up to Drew Bobo. So it's going to be interesting, y'all, to see the special teams. Our field goal kicking, I've got no concerns there. But punter, punting on this stage for the first time, we'll just have to see. I hope we're all good there. I've got Georgia winning the game. I think it's going to play out just like how I said. Notre Dame might score on their first series or whatever with a series of scripted plays, scheming Georgia up. Georgia might score on their first or second series. We'll see. But once Georgia settles into the game, that Kirby Smart defense is going to put the clamps on that Notre Dame offense. We're going to stop the run. We're going to get Riley Leonard into 3rd and 7. And when he has to throw the ball to beat us, I like the Georgia defense and our edge rushers to be able to get home and get Riley Leonard on the ground. And if that happens, y'all, it's going to be a long day for Notre Dame. I kind of wanted to be conservative with this score prediction just because I think if Georgia is able to get a lead, like I said, Kirby Smart's not going to look to really run up the score. He's just going to try and bleed the clock and play good defense. So I do have Georgia winning the game, and I've got Georgia winning this game 23-13 down in New Orleans in the Sugar Bowl. And they will advance to the quarterfinal and take on the winner of the Boise State-Penn State game. Man, I just don't know enough about Boise State to pick one way or the other. But the team I've been begging to play all season long is the Penn State Nittany Lions. Match Georgia up against a non-SEC team, and I feel really good about Georgia's chances no matter where they go or who they play. I think we're going to have a really challenging game. In Atlanta, if we do make it that far, that's going to be a really good opponent. Whoever comes out of that other side of the bracket is going to be ready to go, be battle-tested, battle-hardened, and know that they just got to win one more game. And this ain't the Georgia Bulldogs of old. This ain't the 2022 Dawgs. This Georgia team can be beat. So it'll be a really tough game, whoever we get matched up against, even if it's Texas, man. Texas has got a good team. So we'll just have to see what happens. But I've got the Dogs winning 23-13. Hope that it's a great game. Really, really hopeful. I got to see Georgia win this game, and I do not want to lose to Notre Dame and have to hear about that from my family for forever. They'll never let it go. They're the type of people, they ain't never going to let you forget about that. But yeah, man, hoping for a big Bulldog win. Wishing everybody, peace, success, a whole lot of money. Whatever it is that you want to happen in 2025 and flipping this damn thing around. I hope you guys get it, man. And I got to say one more thing. 91 views on my last video, man. Thank y'all, man. I'm really trying to get away from the Facebook lives and do the live on my Facebook feed and then do YouTube. Last time I did this, man, it was the same way. It was a couple of views here and there, and then I did a Alabama-Georgia preview video, and that boom, 1,000. And then it was 1,000, after that, from that point on. And I didn't stay consistent, and I quit doing it. But this time, I'm not going anywhere, man. I would do these for free. I do this to myself. I talk about this to myself nonstop. This college football thing is my life, man. So, but thank you guys for watching. If you could, watch, like, subscribe. If I know what I'm talking about, say, hey, you know what you're talking about. And if you don't agree with what I'm talking about, you can let me know that too. All right. Merry Christmas, everybody. Go Dogs, and y'all have a good one. See ya for the Sugar Bowl.